Today my guest is Marco Cash. Marco, it's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, pal.
Mark is a man of many businesses and many people and many countries.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where you're from and what you do. So if I'll ask, your parents or your brothers or some of best friends, what do you do? What do you think they will answer?
Everybody. Especially the ones that ask. So you might be next.
Yeah.
I started life off at the Barras in Glasgow, which is very similar to Petticoat Lane, which is an institution in London, and even a bigger institution in Glasgow. 1,000 welcomes, young and old, to where the world is bought and sold. The Barras is the very place to meet that universal race. But have a little thought and care. There's rogues lurking everywhere. There's thieves who think it's quite a joke to dip your bag or pick your poke. And if your mind's not sharp and clear, your very shirts will disappear. I've been to a few football matches in my life, and the reason why it's only a few, and it's been my latter part of my life, is because Glasgow is a sectarian city, very much like Northern Ireland. You're either one or the other, and you're either Catholic or Protestant. So it sort of defines what football team that you go to. So I was born a Catholic, even though I don't subscribe to it. I was born a Catholic. So then I had to support Celtic. But my easy get out to the sectarianism was I worked at the Barras. So the Saturday games and the Sunday games were out of my agenda. They weren't on the menu because Saturday and Sunday was payday. So I had a choice whether I went to football matches or I collected my wages on the only 2 days that there was wages. So I opted for the latter.
Where's your poetic nature come from?
The Barras. I mean, everything reverts back to my upbringing. My father was a great teacher. He gave me some of the best advice I ever had in my life, but he also gave me some of the worst advice I ever had in my life. He told me when I was off to Belgium, I didn't even know where Belgium was at the time, and I'm going over there to start a retail business, and he says, "Look, son, stick to what you know." I said, "Dad, I left school at 14. I know fuck all. How can I stick to what I know?" So that was, so that was part of it as well.
So what was your decision-making process in terms of what to do? What determined you? What was your motivation to?
Well, I sort of worked out from a very early age that it was very easy, the retail business. In those days, I mean, it's very complicated now, and I sort of lost the handle on it because I was a bit lazy keeping up with the times. But my father would go to the south side of Glasgow, which was about a mile away from where he sold his stock. And he'd buy it for £1 and sell it for £5. Now, at a very young age, maybe about 10, 12, something like that, I used to think this was dishonest. Profit was dishonest because I'm a kid, and I thought, I was there, I witnessed it. You bought it for £1, you take it a mile away and you sell it for £5.
Yeah.
And that's when I realised that retail, in my time, was an easy business. All you had to do it's all about knowledge, where to buy and where to sell. And the same thing happens today. It's all about where you're buying it and the gap in between the two stages, buying and selling. Now, anyone can sell anything, but it's important that your money is earned not when you sell it, the money is earned when you buy it, because otherwise the margin's gone. So I sort of it was a simple business to me. It was a simple method, so I really didn't need to know that much about academics. That's one of the reasons I opted out of school at 14. But there was a bigger, more important reason why I actually left school at 14. But that was one, I just turned my back on education, which I'm not advocating to anyone to do, because it's a pretty dumb thing to do, because I then spent my own money between the age of 17 and 20 educating myself and paying for it and learning how to count and read and write properly. So I wouldn't advocate that to anyone.
So what would you say is your superpower?
The ukulele gets you out of fucking jail every time. Well, not every time, but certainly mostly.
Mostly. Do you have a story that is would describe the actual the power of the ukulele?
Again, into an anecdote, there was a song I had to learn at school called Papa Piccolino. He played so merrily to every signorina, Papa Piccolino, from sunny Italy, a vagabond that wanders along, a millionaire with only a song.
What was the most exciting businesses you had?
I opened a nightclub in Ipswich, and I called it the Betty Ford Clinic, and I made it out like a theme nightclub, so it was like hospital beds and fucking defibrillators full of whiskey and all sorts of shit like that. And I had a big Brandon light, and the Brandon light's the big light that they pull down in a fucking operating theatre. It's got all these lights in it to look at your giblets, right, when you've been operated on. So I had one of them as the main disco light. And I called it the Betty Ford Clinic. But what I did 2 days before the opening of this, I phoned up the Betty Ford Clinic in, I think it's, what do you call it, Vegas is, what's that county? Anyway, it's over there, Arizona. So I phoned up and I spoke to the manager and I says, "Hello, Mr. Jones here." I says, "I'm absolutely appalled. There's a nightclub opening in Ipswich and they're bearing your name, the Betty Ford Clinic. It's absolute scandalous." All I wanted was the publicity, right? And I actually said to my sign man, "Can you make this in 2 parts where we can have the Betty Ford Clinic so I can take down the Ford Clinic and just keep up Betty," right? Because I knew, well, I thought I'd be under legal action to take down Betty Ford Clinic. So they said to me, "Well, thank you very much, that's wonderful, thank you for the information. Can we get our lawyers to phone you, Mr. Jones?" I says, "Yes, here's my number." So a couple of days later, I got a phone call from the lawyer in New York and saying, "Mr. Jones, yes, thank you very much for the information about this nightclub stealing my client's intellectual property and copyright and all that, but we have a problem in America. We have to prove punitive damage." I said, "What does that mean?" He says, "Well, had there been anything related to what we do, we could have sued them, but we'd have a struggle proving punitive damage." I says, "Well, what's this word mean?" So he says, "Well, they're doing the opposite of what we do. So we're actually recovering alcoholics, you're actually grassrooting them." So I says, "Oh, right, well, I've got a bit of a problem here, and maybe I could prove punitive damage." He says, "Well, we'd be interested to hear your legal aspect on that." So I says, "Well, I normally send my wife there to your clinic once a year, and I won't be sending her again. I'll be sending her to the one in Ipswich." Right? So, lo and behold, no, they didn't take up my publicity stance. And so Betty Ford Clinic remained there for many, many years to come. So, yeah, that was great fun, a bit of excitement, but I thought I had a good idea. But it was still relatively successful.
Are you still going on?
No. We changed it to... and a very, very lovely girl who I knew, who was of the lesbian persuasion, because once every month we used to have a gay night, which was the last Sunday in every month, and it was the most successful day we had in the month. And I used to think, hold on a minute. So anyway, this girl came up to me and said to me, "Look, it's clearly your best day of the month. Why don't we turn it into a gay bias?" Not gay, there's no such thing as a gay club, it's a gay bias club. So I said, "Yeah, brilliant. So let's do that." So anyway, we went into business together, and it was a big disaster. I'd heard about the Pink Pound, and but what happened after that was all we did was the gay community in the area wasn't big enough, and what they did was, instead of having it once a month, they just had spent their disposable wealth over the whole month. So it was a disaster. So it was absolutely fucking terrible. And then I remember I was on an aeroplane once, and I was talking to this very nice young lady on a business class in British Airways, and their standard thing at the time was Harper's Bazaar was the magazine in business class in British Airways. So she says to me, "What's the name of your nightclub again?" I says, "Betty's in Ipswich." "Oh, it's in the Harper Bazaar." And I went, "We wouldn't get in the fucking local rag. What we're doing in the fucking Harper Bazaar, fucking business class." And she says that Jasper Conran met his, what do you call it, the civil partner there, right? Yeah. So it was all about him, not about me. I was so fucked off it wasn't about me, but anyway. So that's one of my crazy fucking things.
In your view, what's the most important in business?
Most important thing about business, I think, is keeping your eye on the ball. Find out what your three important aspects are, which might be wages, rents, rates, and keep the three top things. Forget about the rest of them, there's not 200. And forensically examine your three biggest expenses and forensically examine them. Forget about the other, you can get back to them later. Because you can lose more from your top three, you can gain more from your top three expenses than the rest come insignificant.
What was your biggest success and your biggest failure?
My biggest success, I think, was being brought up at the Barrows in Glasgow and learning the fundamentals of trade. That's my biggest success. I owe everything to my father and the upbringing I had. My biggest failure, well, I don't have the biggest one. It's like everything else I failed in, I've got to pack that all together. So I don't have a big failure. The failures are the failures. Business to me is not doing business plans.
And the final question, Marco. If you'd have a microphone that would, whatever you say there, anyone on planet Earth would hear, every person. And you have 3 seconds to say something, what would you say?
Don't accept your religion.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to see you, pal.
Thank you.
Love you very much.